You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose. Let's go. Thoughts can keep you down, pushing deep until you drown, or they can keep you up strong, focused on the now. Glass half full, or has it been emptied out? Well, that's all up to you and your mind. Do you doubt anything, everything, not a thing? Make my thoughts work for me, manifest what I need, what I want, what I see. I could be anything, I attract all the things that I see. I believe I'll achieve as I breathe in and out again and again. I don't doubt, I sit and I plan, and I found out that I can execute if I'm driven, if I listen, if I learn all the wisdom. Read some books, something written, watch the best teacher system I invest. Never hidden, I ain't scared, ain't no chicken, I take dares. I'll be winning, you get back what you're giving. Find the reason that you're living, what you're good at, all your gifts and what you love. Take a risk and find out what you've been missing, yeah. You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose. You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose.
Welcome to the Party Pals GRC Mafia. Right out of the gate, we're here to break down barriers, foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future for everybody. Definitely a learning and growing environment. So during these sessions, we may open up the stage if somebody did want to come up after the presentation itself. But typically the second Wednesday and the last Wednesday of every single month is what we're looking at doing for these safety talk type of streams. Definitely ask your questions, share resources and so forth. The best place to share like your social media or other resources that you know about is inside of the Discord server itself. YouTube will not allow you to publish links, but you can hop into our Discord server, go over to the live chat channel, and you can post your links through there and it'll relay it to YouTube directly. Don't share anything that you don't want to be public. Definitely a live stream on the internet. If you happen to slip up, you can reach me at on Discord, LinkedIn, or contact at studygrc.org. Also, a couple other worthy mentions here too is we did recently launch Coffee with the Mafia. That link is also going in chat. That allows you 100% free. We want nothing in exchange in order to obtain coaching or one-on-ones with GRC Mafia. Assistance with road mapping, projects, any generalized questions and things like that within the realm. Absolute worst case scenario, they'll be able to direct you in the right direction and be like, hey, maybe you should go talk to PBO about this. That's what he really specializes in and so forth. And then of course we also have our website, which lists everything else as well, including our resources page too. So I'm going to go ahead and transition over here. And today we actually have Matthew here talking about preparing for medical crisis in the workplace. Welcome to the Party, pal. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Good afternoon. It's great to be back. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. So we're going to talk about preparing for a medical crisis. We talked a little bit about this last week during our big talk. This goes a little bit more in depth with it. Some other things that we didn't talk about regarding specifically medical issues at work. And first things first, we have a disclaimer. The disclaimer, we're not medical professionals. We do not offer legal advice or anything of that sort. So, medical crisis preparedness. The reason this matters is because you can be down to the seconds when it comes to a medical crisis, whether or not an individual is going to be saved or is going to pass away. So it's important to have people in here in your building to be able to handle a situation if something does arise, because you may not have time to wait for medical teams from the city, county, state to get there in time. especially when we're talking about like cardiac issues or strokes, stuff along those lines are very time sensitive, or big open wounds. And as always, risk assessment is first. You want to identify hazards that may cause a medical crisis, things that may be unsafe and may end up hitting someone in the head that would cause a major medical issue, or things like chemicals, maybe someone in your factory, like in the factory I work at, we have a lot of fiberglass. And we have multiple people in our building who's also allergic to fiberglass to the point that they will go to the hospital if they're exposed. So we note those things to be able to keep those people away from the fiberglass so we don't have an accident. And of course, review these things regularly. You don't want to just make a plan and then stick to that plan for a long period of time. You want to be reviewing it on a frequency that's based on your facility. If you're running a big facility and you're changing things around all the time, you might need to take a look at your plan sooner rather than later. Then developing an action plan. So this is going to go into like your emergency escape areas, your mustard stations, which is where everyone will go to if there is a emergency like a fire, tornado, anything along those lines. And then also a plan for if a medical crisis does happen. How are you guys going to notify your first responder team that there's a medical crisis happening? And how are you going to relay to those first responders in your building on what the crisis is? Ideally, you guys are going to want to have jump bags, pretty much decent sized first aid kits that have everything they'll need so they can respond to any medical emergency quickly. We just had one 2 days ago at the place I worked at, that I currently work at, uh, a department about 2 or 3 departments down from me called for first responders, and we were able to respond in less than 20 seconds. It was a large cut on the hand. They ended up having to go in for stitches, but we didn't get blood everywhere because we were able to respond in such a timely manner and get it all wrapped up and pressure on it, waiting for them to get transported. They ended up getting a couple stitches, but that's a prime example of why you want these first responders in your building. You want them trained well so that way they can respond quickly and make sure that there's minimal contamination when it comes to blood. And that person, I mean, it wasn't life threatening, so they wouldn't have died. But I mean, if we didn't respond as quickly as we did, they most likely would have dripped blood all over the floor. And now that station will be shut down for upwards of an hour while we're doing bloodborne cleanup, which you want to make sure you do if there is blood droplets on the ground, because there is a lot of bloodborne pathogens out there, and you want to clean it with bleach, ideally, not like a general cleaning aid. So that way you can make sure everything in that blood dies. You don't just want to wipe it up. But you want to have these plans clearly written and relayed to your employees of what's happening in what situation, have your roles assigned, uh, whether it's someone that's going to help with evacuation or communicate with first responders like emergency response teams, police, fire department, EMS, and then people designated to do first aid, and have those people designated to do first aid trained on what to do in what situation. Uh, a lot of times in this industry, we'll have companies give people the roles of first responders for first aid, and they won't train them very well. And then in the act of the moment, they freeze up and they end up just sitting with the person until EMS gets there anyway. So they're not rendering any care to save that individual. And give them the knowledge base past what you expect them to need to know. Don't teach them like just how to do wound care. Uh, Teach them how to identify stuff like a stroke early on. Uh, Because even if they false identify a stroke, if they're showing like one or two of the symptoms and it ends up not being a stroke, it's better that they went and got that checked out than staying in the building and it possibly getting worse. May also find an underlying condition they didn't know about. So having them trained on a wide variety of things. I know for us, we trained on how to identify strokes, heart attacks, how to care for small and big wounds, how to care for compound fractures and broken bones and head wounds. Your evacuation routes for your maps should be clearly listed, and you should also ensure that those exit ways are never blocked or locked. They should always be able to be pushed open without having to move anything. Because in an emergency situation, you may not have time to move something. If there's explosions going off in your factory due to a chemical or gas line or something like that, and you're trying to get out of the building before you pass away. You don't want to have to move chairs or a desk or something like that out of the way. And as always, ensure compliance with OSHA. OSHA does have regulations revolving around emergency action plans and what you need to have on them. We want to always ensure compliance and preferably exceed compliance. So, this is going over the different roles revolving around emergency medical responses. Having a first aid responder, like we were talking about a little bit ago. They can do assessments, they can administer your CPR and first aid as needed. And if your facility has them, AEDs are extremely useful, and these people are the ones you want to train for them. AEDs can greatly impact the chances of survival, especially without any uh, existing conditions. They can really curve the mark right there, other than just CPR. Emergency callers, these we don't have in the facility I work in. How we do it is the first responder will control the scene and will designate someone at the scene to do the emergency call. If 911 needs to be contacted, they'll continue doing first aid while telling a bystander to contact 911, and they'll kind of relay what information needs to be relayed while they're doing CPR. Or ideally, you have at least two of them that respond, and then one can handle the emergency call, and the other one can handle the CPR until the one doing the CPR needs to be swapped out for fatigue. And then have leaders. This generally is a supervisor or someone in higher authority to give orders during the evacuation, especially if anything changes. Like if you're suffering a fire in the building and the standard route that people use to exit the building may be a hazardous area to exit, they can relay over the PA system, over the walkie talkies, however they need to tell people don't go this way, go the other way. Having someone just to out there counting everyone, make sure everyone did get out of the building, and if anyone is unaccounted for, that person can also help relay that to emergency teams that are going in to do rescues. So protocols, you have your first responders. You want them trained and clearly designated for employees in first aid. Having equipment like first aid kits, jump bags for your medical team, AEDs in accessible locations. Ideally, you want them anywhere where an accident may happen or as close by as you can make it. So that way it's as little response time as possible. When I responded to that one a couple days ago, there's one in my station that I happened to be working that day. So that's why we had such a quick response time. Me and another first responder were able to grab it, get out, and go as quickly as possible. Have your emergency contact numbers displayed throughout the facility. This is your local hospital, non emergency line, and your ambulance. So that way, if you need a specific one, you can contact them directly. 911 always works. So you can always fall back on that if you're not able to get to that sign, or if it's an emergency 911 should be your first option. Documentation, as always, recording all instances that happen, big or small, and the response taken for them. It looks really good on us, for example, that we had such a good response time. Uh, I'm sure insurance companies care about that sort of thing. So recording that, making note, like, this is the incident that happened, this is the response we gave. Then communication, we talked about this during our last talk too. Having multiple ways of communication, like you can have the PA system, you can have a audible alarm going off, text alerts if you have your employees' phone numbers and you wanted to set that up. That's always a great thing. The more communication, the better. Two-way radios, that's one thing we use in the facility that I'm in, and email notifications. A lot of people don't check their emails too often anymore, so that may not be a reliable way. Or if you don't allow cell phones like we don't on our production floor, mass text alerts may not be a good idea either because they're going to need their phone. In the facility I work in, we leave our phones in the front, there's pros and cons to all of that, but of course, handling regular drills and making notes of what those drills entail, any issues that happen during the drill, the good things that happen during the drill, all the things that you need to work on. So that way, when it actually happens, you're able to curve that. And then making sure that your first responders have their certifications up to date for their CPR, their AED, and their first aid. And every single incident, we talked about this in the last slide, having an instant review with both the person that got injured and the first responder. And if you did like a fire drill or had a real fire in the building, reviewing that with all of the employees that participated in it is always a great idea. So that way everyone knows what they did right, what they did wrong, how they can improve. So improving preparedness, documenting incidents, that's step one, making sure you have everything documented. Look for patterns in the facility. If you're having a lot of injury rates on, let's say, Friday, then people are most likely not paying as much attention on Fridays because they're excited for the weekend. They want to get out of work. So maybe affirming your people like, hey, we need to be paying attention. We're having an increased injury rate on Fridays, lots more cuts, lots more scrapes, whatever the injury happens to be going on. We need to start curbing this, or we're going to have to put more safety protocols in. Uh, that's another thing that's happening in the factory I'm working in is we use a lot of razor knives, and our injury rate keeps going up with them. So we're looking at transitioning into a safety blade. A lot of people are mad about that, but if people paid more attention and they worked safely and were minimizing our cuts and scrapes, we wouldn't need to switch. As always, with anything we put into place, you want feedback. Talk to the employees about what they like and don't like about the procedures you put in place. Uh, some of them may be just complaining about the procedure themselves. Some may actually have a good point of something you can change to make it run nicer. And always update your protocols, review and update on a regular basis. You do not want to get into a routine and then something bad happens and now there's liability against the company because you did not take proper action soon enough. So our overall key takeaways and final thoughts, and then after this we'll be doing the Q&A. So preparation is protection. It is the step one. It's the main way that you will be able to curb a fatality in your facility. Uh, There's a lot of things you can train, like tourniquets are one. I'm not a big fan of tourniquets personally, unless they're absolutely required. I know in our factory, we do not teach our first responders how to apply tourniquets. We do teach some people how to, but not them. It's mainly higher ranked members of staff that get trained how to do that. Always gear for continuous improvement, doing your reviews, asking for feedback. These are all ways that you can do continuous improvement. And ensuring that you have a good team effort, good workplace safety team that can put in the time and put in the work to make these programs amazing. We can't do it with just one person. We need the whole team working together as one to be able to make these programs effective. If you have even one person in the cell that doesn't believe in a program like this, and something major happens, and they call 911 instead of a first responder, and they just walk them outside the building and don't notify anyone about it, that person may end up getting worse because of it. Uh, we just had the other day also individual going hypoglycemic at work. Blood sugar was too low, and we had tested his blood sugars because he told us he was diabetic, and we had a test kit available that we cleaned off and tested his blood sugars, and his blood sugars were fairly low in the mid 60s, which right around 60s when you pass out and lose consciousness. So because first responders were called to that and they didn't call 911 instead, we were able to identify the issue going on. And a lot of us are very knowledgeable about diabetes, so we gave him some stuff that he can eat along with a little bit of juice, and he was feeling better in about 30 minutes and didn't have to go to the hospital. If we didn't have a test kit with us, he probably would have been going to the hospital, and the hospital would have done the same thing we did most likely. And we should always keep in mind there's lives at stake. We're not playing games around or anything like that. We are trying to save lives here, and we all need to keep that in mind. We try to have a lot of fun in a lot of our training that we do in our facility, but and it's forgotten about that we're training for something that is not going to be a fun thing to do. And now we'll move on to our Q and A's. I saw one get asked.
Yeah, so we got this one from Josh. Maybe we'll be getting to this in the talk, but what is the best way to note observations and bring them up to those responsible, even if we don't know who that might be?
So observations, it kind of depends on when you observed it. If you're observing it when it's happening and it's something that like you can step in and curve right then and there, then uh, like in a first responder situation, I wouldn't suggest approaching them right then and there unless it's something like life threatening that they're doing wrong, like performing CPR wrong or hooking up the AED wrong, that you want to catch right then and there before anything bad happens, obviously, and worry about feelings later. Uh, but if it's something as small as like someone not wearing gloves or something when they're moving a piece of material, if you guys require gloves, just walk up to the person and tell them nicely, like, "Hey, you need to have your gloves on. This is policy." If they want to put up a fight, explaining the reasons why. Uh, I don't generally recommend going straight towards like doing a report about it or writing the individual up like disciplinary action because that usually doesn't go over smoothly. We generally want to do talks and just one on one with the person a couple times before implementing anything that will be a disciplinary action. And then for observing to make notes on it, get a binder, little tiny folder, and every time you observe something that you correct an employee on, write it down. You can have a section for every employee that's a common talk for you. So that way you can go back to your upper management and go, hey, this employee gone. He's been terrible when it comes to safety. I've noted 15 things I've talked to him about in the past 2 weeks alone. And maybe he'll start listening when someone in upper management ahead of you starts talking to him about it.
Bam. Yeah, there's a lot that goes in here. I would also hope that there's like actually defined policy on this as well, on how you document, because like you mentioned, unless it's like an urgent thing, like chances are is you're going to be documenting that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Documenting, having a polite conversation with the individual. You don't need to be rude. Generally, you can get your point conveyed pretty easily without being hostile about it. Big thing is just staying calm. No one likes being told that they're doing something wrong, so you should expect some type of pushback from the employee, but hopefully they comply over time.
yeah. Yeah, and then also I'm going to drop Matthew's LinkedIn again too, because that's going to be like one of the best spots to ask questions. You could reach out to him directly and so forth as well. But yeah, so the second Wednesday of every month, and then also the last Wednesday of every month for like these safety talks. Also, at the Thursday meeting last week that you spoke at, there was discussions around like doing case study and so forth in the future. So that's definitely something for us to look at as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I was considering that before after hearing that the community is interested in it. We could always do something like that. Uh, do a review of like 2 or 3 instances that OSHA has posted, look at their findings and their recommendations and what ultimately happened in the situation. Uh, I know here locally in the town that I live, uh, we just had a chemical spill right down the street at a very, very big facility. And they spent, from what I heard, it was like 12 hours doing waste cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what procedures they had in place, if they had a HAZWAPer team on call, or if they had one in the building to do any type of cleanup. So I don't know about that sort of thing, but I know they had one. I know it took quite a bit of time and shut down the factory for quite a bit of time.
Man, yeah. Yeah, there's so many different things that coincide with it. But yeah, definitely reach out to him on LinkedIn. You can also catch us in Discord as well. If you do mention anything for OSHA, then I'll just at him on Discord. But yeah, perfect. Thank you guys for hopping in here. Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, that's another thing is I'm also on the Discord. I don't usually check Discord too much, so if you say something in the Discord that you want me to see, either tell Chris and he'll relay it to me, or just at me, uh, and I'll review it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, GRC Mafia, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow as well. So we do have
Awesome,
our
it was
third-party risk management with PBO tomorrow.
awesome. It was a pleasure being here. Everyone have a great